Okay, so first up, let me ask you a question. What is fear?
So, fear, if I were to break it down, is probably the oldest emotion, and it's been there inside of us, driving us to protect, to destroy, to reject, and to employ survival tactics. And behind all of our actions lies a little bit of fear. And that maybe that fear is the greatest fear, which is the fear of death. But this primordial emotion has been exploited in a way too, since it's such a strong emotion inside of us. It's been used as a commercial powerhouse to sell all sorts of things to humanity in general. Um, so you go from unnecessarily insurances, like car insurance, life insurance, all these insurances that become this marketplace of fear, to the justification of nuclear weapons. And then this ironically and paradoxically creates a new fear of nuclear weapons that kind of keeps the cycle going. The fear of loneliness, for example, if you want to get more abstract, can lead to push people away before they have the chance to push you away, in a turn hurting you, or stuff like that. But that's really more of coping mechanisms from childhood pain and stuff. But imagine living without fear. What would that look like? Would that mean being happy all the time, or would that be like making the most out of life? Uh, if you're liberated from anxieties and self doubt, we might approach life with courage, resilience, and openness. And maybe without the fear of death, there's this willingness to take risks and trust in our abilities to navigate challenges. I don't know if fear can be addictive. I tend to fear a lot of things. And while also fearing moving towards it, could it be because I consider the bad and others don't? Or is it something to do with the human mind? Whether mine or another's, there's no way of knowing what fearlessness would look like. But maybe that's something to fear as well. Someone that has nothing to lose, or someone that has no reason to live, or most scary, someone that wants to die. Fear is a very strong emotion, and it's always driving some type of action or energy inside all of us. And when there's no way of looking at somebody who doesn't have fear, what would the opposite look like? Someone that has given so much power of their lives to fear that it bleeds through everything they do. And it's here that I want to examine Philip H.P. Lovecraft. Now, Lovecraft's work, particularly his short stories, created the Cthulhu mythos. He famously said that the unknown, or the fear of the unknown, is the oldest emotion. And to add to this fear drives humans to explore and analyze the world, seeking information and understanding. However, Lovecraft's stories warned us that some knowledge is better left unexplored, suggesting that ignorance is bliss in a way. Lovecraft himself was a particularly an obsessive man, channeling his fear of the unknown into his writings, and he created a pantheon of all-powerful, all-knowing, and amoral gods that defy human comprehension. These multi-dimensional immortal, I think they were immortal beings, are so far beyond human understanding that their mere presence can shatter our mortal minds, and they exist beyond our realities, and their powers warp around the fabric of existence. So basically, we can't really mess with them. These gods are like untouchable forces beyond human control or defeat. They could annihilate us at any moment without even acknowledging. Now, something that humans often forget is that it's thanks to our social community that we can sort of just lock ourselves into our matrix of people and community, and which is something that Lovecraft thought was better, and to isolate ourselves in our own sense of community than to be cursed by knowledge, as he would probably put it. So right now we're trying to get into sort of the psychology of Lovecraft, and to do that, let's get closer with another quote. And this is another of his famous quotes that goes, "The most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents. We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of a black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far." So, To break this down or kind of unpack this, Lovecraft's notion of the placid island of ignorance is kind of a creepy metaphor, and for our daily lives and our social connections that provide to him a comforting illusion of control and understanding, and it kind of shields us from the dark, infinite expansions of the universe. However, when we voyage too far into the unknown, we risk uncovering the truth that could shatter our grasp on reality, as it were. And there's something that's to be said about Lovecraft himself before we dive into his narratives and his stories. H.P. Lovecraft's work was marked by cosmic horror and existential dread. It was deeply influenced by his own struggles with his own sense of intelligence and ego, and I want to add a modern turn of modern health, to be exact. And that's to say that his fear of the unknown and the unknowable was both a driving force for his creativity and a reflection of his own personal demons. And Lovecraft's intellect and philosophical beliefs often felt like a double-edged sword, if that makes sense. It would provide him with a unique perspective on the world while also contributing to his sense of isolation and despair. Through his stories, he processed his own anxieties and fears, and he ended up creating a body of work that continues to capture and settle readers. But by examining Lovecraft's life and work through the lens of his mental health, we gain a deeper understanding of the complex interplay between his creativity, his intelligence, and his personal condition. So, getting back to the story structure that Lovecraft would use, his specific brand of story structure masterfully kind of crafted a sense of dread that escalated throughout the whole story, and at the end, where you have the cosmic characteristics of his storytelling, he would end up fusing regular story structure with his own taste of cosmic horror, and this kind of created such a unique rising action to his sense of narrative. And Lovecraftian climaxes always break someone's mind at the end, which is kind of his trademark, where someone's mind will get expanded beyond what they were supposed to. And they always have this other moment where the protagonist, and this is outside their mind expanding, covers this hidden truth on the world, usually having to do with the pantheon, and the narrative descends into madness. This is kind of sometimes known as the cosmic truth moment, which is a staple at this point, and is most of his famous stories, where you have characters' perception of reality just kind of breaking, and this is that person in that moment. They're confronted with what we call existential horror, which is something that kind of lurks beyond human understanding at this point. So, an example of these moments in other forms of media, if you do make a good Lovecraft representation, you should have something that's supposed to indicate this. And examples I could think about is how in Bloodborne you would kill the spider, and then the whole game changes with the moon format. And in Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and Shadows of Evil, where you have the rituals done and they're all done, and then you have the tentacle monster coming through the top. And these moments are rooted in Lovecraft's own fears, which were deeply influenced by his xenophobia, his racism, and his fear of the unknown. And despite these problematic elements, Lovecraft's work continues to capture audiences, and his influence is evident in various forms of media nowadays. They all kind of borrow from him. Despite his problematic elements, they still don't mind, because at the end of the day, it's part of it. So again, fear is one of the primal emotions. It's a source of creativity and negativity for humans, and similarly one with a bunch of power. Fear can be exciting in small doses, but a lifetime of fear will always drive anyone mad. Life's a spectrum, so don't spend all your time with Lovecraft. Maybe he teaches you something that ends up breaking your mind.
Anyways, that's the video. Trying to improve. We're gonna improve. If anyone's watching this, for me, it's for nobody. Anyways, like, subscribe.